It started with a piercing scream that tore through the quiet evening of our suburban neighborhood, changing my life forever in an instant. By midnight, the flashing lights of police cruisers painted our street in red and blue as officers led my wife away in handcuffs. My name is Ryan. I thought I knew the woman I married, but tonight I realized I was living with a complete stranger. Our marriage had become a cold, silent war zone where every shared meal was a battle and every word was used as a weapon. That night, I walked into the kitchen just looking for a glass of water. But Megan was already there, her eyes filled with rage. The argument escalated faster than I could process. She grabbed my phone and hurled it, watching it shatter against the cold kitchen tile. I begged her to tell me what was wrong, but her expression shifted. The rage vanished, replaced by a chilling, calculated, and evil smile. She smashed a ceramic plate and began clawing at her own arms. I watched in horror as she purposefully branded herself a victim. She leaned in close, her eyes devoid of any love, and whispered to words that chilled my very soul. "You are finally done." Moments later, the front door was kicked open. The police didn't ask questions. They just saw the absolute chaos she had carefully created. She was huddled on the floor, a perfect picture of terror. I was pinned against the wall, a monster in the officer's eyes. Outside, the neighbors gathered on the sidewalk. Their phones were out, recording my public downfall to share with the entire world tonight. The lead officer looked at me with pure disgust. My desperate pleas of innocence sounded like pathetic lies in that broken, messy room. Then, a sudden crackle on his radio changed everything. Someone was watching from afar. Someone saw exactly what happened inside these four walls. The officer looked up, past the shattered glass and Megan's fake tears, and pointed to a small doorbell camera mounted inside the entrance. The footage on the screen was undeniable. Every scratch she made and every plate she smashed was recorded in high definition for proof. Then came the audio. Her whisper, her threat, and her plan to destroy me were broadcasted to the very officers she had called. The heavy atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. The strong hands that held me against the wall were suddenly and respectfully let go. They turned toward Megan. The color drained from her face as the handcuffs she intended for me were snapped onto her wrists instead. The truth is often hidden in plain sight. Always remember that when the lights go out, someone might still be watching the truth.
One officer literally stepped back in shock. Another stared at Megan like he didn't recognize her anymore. And then she panicked, started yelling, "It's not what it looks like." Too late, the same cops who came to arrest me put her in handcuffs instead, right in front of every neighbor watching outside. And the final look she gave me before entering the police car? Pure hatred. Not guilt. Hatred. But the nightmare wasn't over, because the video spread online, fast. Millions of views. News pages reposted it. Comment sections exploded. Some people supported me. Others still insisted I must have done something wrong. That part broke me the most. How easily people wanted the lie to be true. McGann eventually got charged for false reporting and domestic abuse fabrication. But honestly, court wasn't the satisfying part. The satisfying part happened later because during the divorce, the judge played the footage again. In silence, nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Just Megan watching herself destroy her own life on a giant courtroom screen. Then the judge said quietly, "You weaponized trust." Even Megan started crying after that. Real crying this time. A few weeks later, I moved into a smaller apartment alone. Peaceful, quiet, safe. And sometimes I still replay that night in my head because one tiny camera saved my entire life. Some people don't want love. They want power over what love fears most.